For 10 years, I was an elective mute because I had a really bad stutter. This meant I avoided speaking, I hid, I did all sorts of tricks to make sure I didn't speak. People thought I was dumb and unintelligent, and at school, my nickname was Dumb Peter. With my stutter being so bad, it sometimes took 1 minute or longer to say one word. When enrolling at my senior high school, the bursar or the enrolment clerk got so frustrated that he threw down the piece of paper and pen and said, "Fill it in yourself." This gave me the realisation that by writing, I could give him all the information. It didn't take long and there was no pressure on me, and it was easier for him. So that's when I started being an elective mute. All along the journey, people say you can't. They say you're not good enough. And during my university years, some of the lecturers said, "Peter, how are you going to work in your profession? You don't speak." Even when I got employed as a medical scientist, they gave me 2 rules of employment. The first one, don't answer the telephone, and the second rule, don't speak to anyone in the hospital grounds. My father is a proper gentleman and wanted things done properly. And he said, "You've got to do speeches at the wedding." At this point, I said, "Look, I think we'll cancel the wedding." Luckily, the priest was cool-headed and he said, "Peter, what we'll do is I will say, 'Do you, Peter, do you take Violet, etc., etc.' And you just say, 'I do.' And if you can't say 'I do,' then just nod." Looking back on not having the courage to say my vows, I realised it was a cop-out. But at the time, you need to understand this, at the time it was survival. It was life or death. Then there's the things you don't see. We call this below the water. This is the fear, the anxiety, the humiliation, the shame, the embarrassment, the avoidance. When I had my speech therapy, I dealt with some of the finer motor skills. I didn't deal with that fear, and I hadn't learned to love myself or to accept myself as a stutter. You might come to a crossroad in life and you're not sure whether to go right or to go left. There's those key tipping points in your life. One of those points was my father's funeral. I decided to deliver my dad's eulogy, and it was the first time that I stood up and spoke to a group of people in my entire life. I was age 41. And in delivering my dad's eulogy, I saw there were 2 men. My dad lived a great life and was an admired leader within the community, and they listened to him despite his bad stutter. Here I am, living a life of self-limiting beliefs based on my fear and my stutter. From that point on, I decided I was never going to let fear be the reason that I don't do what I need to do in my life. People always ask me, how did you move from medical science to public speaking, training and coaching? I joined Toastmasters, and on that Toastmasters journey, I found my voice. What I tend to find is people make the first step when the pain is greater than the avoidance. When what you want to achieve or not being able to achieve it hurts more than the risk or the fear of not doing it. If you know in your own life that you need to address this and fear is holding you back, then I ask people to become courageous and set an achievable first step. For me, my first step of dealing with my fear of the telephone was to go down to a telephone box and dial home when no one was home. I like to encourage people, never let self-limiting beliefs be the reason that you don't chase your dreams.
We are sure you would agree that listening to Peter's story gives us all something to think about when it comes to conquering our own fear. Thanks for watching Stories Out Loud. Stay tuned, episode 4 is up next.